G'day guys, Josh here. Welcome to episode 8 of Financial Fruits, which is basically, as you guys can see here, is going to be about how to invest. Now, read that disclaimer in the video as well, that all products shown in this video are not recommendations for your personal circumstances. I've not considered those at all. They're just purely illustrative for this video. And this is not a recommended portfolio for anyone. It's just an illustration, okay? It's just an illustration of what you should look at, what you should not do, but what you should look at, and what you should take care of when building your own portfolio. If you want to do so, if you don't want to build your own portfolio, go see a financial advisor, go see someone who knows a lot more. Do not be like, hey, I saw Josh invested here, as an example, that means I invest into it. Please don't do that. It may not be applicable for you. Most likely it won't be because, different strokes, different folks. Make sure you get a financial advisor, make sure you do your own research. So, how to invest. So, a lot of people, I think, are wondering, how do I invest? Some people got the crystal ball and magically picking shares, hoping that they go well. I mean, there's countless of people out there, gurus, who say this will do well, this will do that will do well. Crypto's going up to the moon. But, investing in reality is not really that sexy, and also you can't really advertise it either without all these disclaimers in front of it, as I'm telling you guys now that I've told you about 30 seconds disclaimers and telling you to get advice before doing any of this, basically. So with how to invest, the first question should be is, who is owning, who is owning the assets? Now you may be thinking, be like, shouldn't it just be me? We're talking about tax structures, okay? So should it be in your own name? In a trust? Jointly with my partner? Company? There's a lot of things you've actually got to consider. And also your retirement product as well. You could just drop it in there. Who do we want owning the assets? And this is generally a tax question, okay? Now, you guys thinking, no, I want to talk about portfolio management. Not yet, okay? Because this is a very, very important part. Because if you, let's say if you pick, you owning it, and then you want to split the income, because you have a higher income for tax purposes, you can't. Okay, you can't. So just be aware of that as well. And by split income with your partner, for example, okay, if you get a girlfriend, anything like that. So that's why this question can be very, very important to yourself. Now, I'm going to tell you guys right now, if you have tax implications because of something after you made a decision, I'm going to say right now, it doesn't matter. Of course, you are going to make mistakes. I make mistakes too. No one knows what's going to happen exactly in the future. But these are things you should consider. Who's owning the assets? Is it, me? Do I want to just jointly held to someone else? Do I want to make our own trust so it just basically flows through? Do I want to put in a company, or do I want to put in a retirement product? Those are things that you have to answer. Just an FYI, or your financial advisor has to answer. I'm not considering your personal circumstances here, but that's one thing to considering. Now, one thing is, do you want to own the assets directly or indirectly? Now, for some people, when you go to your financial advisor and you've got a pittance of money, you probably already know that you're most likely going to be owning it indirectly. So for most people, it is going to be indirectly. Now, what I mean by indirectly is that either you're going to be in a pool of investors or own a share. Okay, so basically a pool of investors are called managed funds. A share is just buying a part of the company. And it can be an ETF, which we discussed previously, and an LIC. Basically, those people have a big pool and they invest it into the market that you wish to see fit. So there's a lot of things that you've got to consider as well. And also we considered as well, what is your risk tolerance, okay? Are you okay with your portfolio dropping by 20%? Are you okay with it going up? Do you watch it every day? Can you sleep at night? Without worrying about your investments. These are all questions you got to ask yourself. This is like a typical risk profile questionnaire, because you got to actually look inside yourself of, what would I do if my investments fell by 20%? And funnily enough, we have a question, a risk profile, which one of the answers is call your advisor. Okay? Literally, I tell you right now, 90% of our clients take this option. Okay? So just be aware of that as well. This is why you get a financial advisor as well, because they can explain to you what's going on, and you don't have to worry no more. Okay? I know I'm being a big advocate for financial advising, because I'm a financial advisor myself, but trust me, like, a lot of things are solved in life when someone tells you what is going on and basically comforts you for it with another person where you feel connected again. So these are the sort of things you've got to consider before you even touch your money and put it in somewhere. Now we also got the other one as well. We got time frame. Remember that time frame. What is your investment horizon? We gotta remember that too from last video, part 7. So those are multiple things we got to do. I did choose to highlight this a bit more, mainly because tax structures in different countries will be different. Be aware of that. This is more of an accountant's territory. Go to an accountant and do your own research as well, okay? I do not consider your personal circumstances whatsoever. And I know I'm repeating this over and over again, like a crypto shark trying to sell you crypto, but it's for your own good, okay? I'm not sponsored by anyone, anything like that, okay? So we got all that done. Let's just say you've got all that done, okay? So we're going to keep this little time frame here. That's what you got to see. That's what you got to think about before you go in. So, let's give you an example. Okay, let's give you an example. Let's just say you've paid off all your debts and stuff like that, which is the most ideal scenario ever, and you want to save for your retirement. Let's say you're 35 years of age, okay? And everything is repaid, and you want to build something for your retirement. Now, also, I forgot number 5 here as well. What is your objective, okay? So number 5 in that previous point is, what is your objective, okay? So you want to build something for your retirement. Okay, so first of all, we're going to go for 1, the structure. Where do we want to put for retirement? Generally, it's a retirement vehicle. If you do not need the funds, the retirement vehicle is generally the best place. Alternatively, you could look at, owning it yourself, depending on the money. Obviously, jointly if you've got a partner, but we didn't have specify it in there. Trust or company. But in this instance, the structure we're going to go is the retirement vehicle. We're going to use the Australian system, so it's going to be superannuation. And we obviously have to go through the upsides and downsides. So the upsides of the superannuation system is that it is a flat 15% tax. Downside is we can't access it, okay? Access it until we are 60 and retired, or 65. So just be aware of that, okay? So those you got to look at the upsides and downsides. So you can see here at the start, I am already going through the upside and the downside. Now next up is obviously, of course, is what I want to invest into. So I'm 35, 35. Let's just say my risk tolerance is like, whether you're gonna head up direct or indirect, sorry. Direct or indirect. Sorry, I got the things confused. We can do either. We can hold it direct or indirect depending on the amount of funds. Given that you're 35, most likely indirect. Next up, 3 is going to be risk tolerance. Generally, when a younger person is for retirement, since we've got a 30-year time horizon, generally the risk tolerance is a lot higher, okay, for the longer time periods. Generally, okay. If your risk tolerance is a lot less, that you can't handle the ups and downs, then basically just invest in less risky assets. It's always an option for you. And last but not least, time frame for retirement is obviously over 30 plus years, or at least 25 to 30 years for retirement. So we've got that locked in the back pocket. So we've got everything that we're going to go. So in this example, by the way, this is purely an example. This is not financial advice. Let's say we select superannuation, and let's say we have a balance of, I think the average 35-year-old balance is about 100 grand, or is it 80,000? I think I'll just go 80,000. So how do we invest in it? How do we invest it? So let's say he's an aggressive investor, which is the highest growth, like the highest caliber of deal where you invest purely in shares and stuff like that. So generally what you do is you diversify. So diversification is very, very important, especially within the subsectors as well, because the more different exposures you can capture when they do good, and also when they do bad at the same time. The ideal scenario is what you want to have is that you want to buy when it's bad and sell when it's good. This is talking about economic cycles, okay? This is not talking about how to invest, but that's just the ideal scenario. Now, this is going to be different from every single product. Do your own research. This is not financial advice. This is not a financial strategy at all. That's just an idealism that most people want to do. Buy low, sell high. But it's not obviously happens in real life. Anything can happen in real life. You can go down further, or you can go bankrupt and never recover. Just be aware of that as well, the risk that you are taking. So that's a few things that I want to get over the plate as well to you, to be aware that there are certain risks and certain upturns as well. Now, so let's just go for example. So generally, an aggressive investor invests mostly into Australian shares. So generally, it's 38%. International shares, 38%. Property, let's just say 20%. I'm not sure anymore. And then the rest of it in cash, 4% in cash. Okay. Now, this can also be split up into infrastructure as well. And the reason why you want to have a bit of cash on the side is just if you have any insurance payments you're going to make, or if you need to you just make any fee payments or anything like that as well. By the way, this risk profile is purely illustrative. Every single different financial planning firm has different strokes for different folks. You can even change this to whatever you prefer, whatever you like. This is just an example, okay? So pretty much like, how do we own these assets? We're going to own them indirect. So let's just say we set up a few managed funds. So we have a managed fund in Australian shares. You can have it active or passive. So generally active and passive, what it means is that active chases returns, passive hugs the index. Now you'd be like, what the fuck is an index? An index is like the All Ords, Dow Jones, ASX 200, etc. You can invest in an Australian managed fund that does that. There are a lot of fund managers. You can Google Australian fund managers. You got your Vanguard, you got your Beta Shares, you got basically all those different fund managers. Okay, you even got iShares, BlackRock. You can just probably Google it and find about 100 different fund managers investing in the same product. Okay, so you can go for managed funds. Alternatively, you can go into shares as well and go into ETFs and LICs and LICs, listed investment companies, which can do the same thing. Sorry, guys. I accidentally hit F11. So, pretty much can do the same thing. And basically, overall, like if you prefer passive, you can look at a managed fund which has shares overall, and property that chases the index. Funnily enough, there are multiple indexes. There's even like an ASX 200 property index. And you can invest in that to chase that sort of return. Or you can go active and go for, absolute returns. There are also alternatives as well. So you can use those, which is mainly funds that do not tie themselves to the market and have unlisted assets. So they don't go to and fro of the market. They beat to their own drum, which can be risky in a way where they can be down while the market's going up and vice versa. So be aware of that as well. So let's just go through an example portfolio. As I said, don't take this as a recommendation. So of course here we've already discussed, what we're going to invest to and stuff like that as well. We discussed our pattern here. Let's just say, for example, for sake, we're going to invest in Australian shares. I can just go for the Vanguard Australian Share Fund and put like 38% of it, which is roughly 24 grand into it, okay? Then I can do Vanguard International Fund and do the same thing. Then we do the Vanguard Property Index Fund. I think there's two of them, both Int and Australian, and put 10% respectively in both. And then have a cash account, any bank cash account. Now, I'm only using Vanguard here, is that Vanguard was the first product that came to the top of my head that had all of these three areas. You can use any different fund manager if you prefer them. You can check their products, disclosure statements, read through them. If you think the fund manager is good enough, do it. These are not recommendations by any sort of imagination. I am not sponsored by Vanguard in any sort of way either. These are just examples, okay? So examples of what you can do. This is a fairly simple portfolio. All of these portfolios basically hug the index. So pretty much the index, wherever the index goes is generally where this ETF will go. But remember, guys, just because past returns occur doesn't mean it's guaranteed, and just because an index goes up may mean the fund doesn't go up if it's differently invested as well. And also, you're going to mean at the same time with the indirect ownership, the fund manager will charge a fee from the returns. So you have to check, how much fees they are charging as well. Anyways, guys, that's just it for the organized example. That's an idea of how you construct a portfolio. Mainly, you want to go with a goal, a time frame, the tax structure. How do you want to own it? How risk averse are you? Like, can you tolerate risk? Like, are you okay with your portfolio going down by 20%? And then the indirect or direct. How do you want to hold your assets? That's pretty much it. It's pretty simple, guys. Really got to do a lot of work in it. It's a very, very dry and boring subject at times. But remember, it's a long-term goal. If you make that goal long-term for your retirement, if you got short-term goals, it's a lot different. Be aware of that. And every single aspect of, I want to get funds out of it to generate income for my living, you got to take that in consideration, and you got to find out, either go to an advisor to see what product could be right for you, or research it yourself. Thank you guys for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and hope you guys have a lovely day. See you guys later. Peace out. Bye.